Hello and welcome all my fellow night owls. I hope you're all doing great. I'm finally here. I just want to say before we start, I apologize for being so late, but if difficulties in everything are any measure of an episode's importance, this one would be the queen mother of all episodes. I will let you know just what all has taken place, but I'm here. I push through, and we will get started right away. Going to send out the live links and the live link, and we will. I'll be right back right after this song. Thank you very much.
I'll walk across the room just to show you that I'm still around. Ask if you wanna meet somewhere later when the sun goes down. Oh, you know I'm serious. I'm serious.
And I am back. This has been quite quite a night. So just thank you for bearing with me on that. And I mean, it's like everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and but the important thing is I'm here, and so we're going to get the show started. Still waiting on those to join the chat. That I'm not sure what the deal is here. If we're having more technical difficulties or whatever, but I will go ahead and start. Hey, brother, there you are. All right, now don't feel so alone. Thank you, Jacob. We'll be talking tonight about the enigma and shocking facts of Rh negative blood, of which I happen to have Rh negative blood. So there you go. It's about, I believe it's 12% of the population, maybe a little more, a little less than that. But anyway, it's very rare, and this is the world population. Hey, Mona, baby, thank you so much for all your behind-the-scenes help tonight. I certainly needed it. Man, it's crazy. I finally get everything, all of the technical difficulties that I was having with the sound system and the mixer and everything, and I got it already, and I got everything set, and found out that my Spreaker account had been canceled due to a billing error. So I had to back out of everything and redo everything for tonight's show. So I am meditating right now in my mind. My impatience wants to override that, but I'm keeping it as controlled as I can. So, but thank everyone. I thank everyone for being here, even those of you that are listening, but you're not taking part in the chat. That's fine. That's fine. And I'm not even going to challenge you to prove me wrong and confront your fears and join the chat and find out that, hey, we are just down-to-earth people. We're not going to bite you. Did I say that out loud? Okay. Anyway, it's all good. I'm going to carefully explain the undeniable mental and physical traits people with Rh negative blood share, and why knowledge of this topic has been purposefully ignored, overlooked, and swept under the rug. For the first time ever, I myself will publicly share personal details and experiences in my own life and my own experiences with certain powers that be that can only be described as unsettling and sinister. This topic is a topic that reaches into every area of life as we know it, from the seemingly powerless to the most powerful people and nations in the world. It is amazing that people that I've talked to, they say, well, okay, it's just a different type of blood, Well, they're right about that. It is very different. Matter of fact, it is it is not even classified as really as human blood. And when I say that, what I'm talking about is that in the far distant past, everyone was Rh positive. And the Rh, for those of you that that don't know, because not everybody has studied this and researched this, I have, because of a personal experiences that I had beginning in 2002. And since then, I have really studied it and researched it. And there's a lot of BS out there, but there's some truth too. And I want to talk to you tonight about the truth. And last night we had our relationship podcast, and I don't know what happened, but the relationship podcast took a turn, and we wound up talking about the Rh negative factor, the Rh negative blood. And I explained some of my my unusual experiences, being O negative, and among other things. And I want you to know that that the very second that I signed off, that I said, good night, everyone, and ended the podcast, I got a notification, email notification. It says, thank you for subscribing to the Rh negative something registry, or registering for the Rh negative product. The only problem with that is I didn't register for anything. I didn't sign up for anything. And that was that was a bit unsettling, to say the least, because I was telling everyone this is a very touchy subject. When I say that the powers that be, they don't want this information to be made known. They certainly don't want it to be explained, because that might make people think. It might give people, might give some people ideas. It might even expose them to the truth. And that's the last thing they want. But this type of thing has happened to me repeatedly since 2002. Really, it's been an ongoing thing. I suppose since birth. I mean, it's just things like that have just happened over and over and over, and it's just like they're saying, or whatever it is, and I'll get into that. You're being monitored, and I told everyone last night, I said, what I'm telling you, I said, it's very, it's not something to take lightly. It can actually be dangerous. And I know that sounds dramatic, but I assure you, I'm not crazy. Well, I might be crazy, but I'm not insane. So I'm in Shane, is what I say. Hello, Nazarene. Hello, Elaine. So glad you're all here. But the one of many amazing things about the Rh negative blood type is its origin is unknown. Unknown. There's no scientists. There's no doctors, medical community, geneticists. No one can explain where the Rh negative blood type originated from. About 35,000 years ago, and just bear with me. I mean, I realize that that people have different views on when time began, or the length of history, or whatever you want to call it. Some adhere to the biblical 6,000 years. I'm a Christian. I'm not religious, and believe it or not, I do not adhere to the 6,000 year timeline of the Bible. So I think that is some kind of a translation error, or just a purposeful error in that was made for some reason. I have no idea, but the my view is that the Earth has been around a lot longer than 6,000 years. More like millions or billions of years. But anyway, Rh negative blood is origin unknown. 35,000 years ago or thereabout. Before that, everyone was Rh positive. And then, looking at it from the time span of thousands of years, it is like the Rh negative blood type appeared overnight, out of nowhere. I mean, it just appeared. And I'll be the first one to say it didn't just appear. There's a reason that it appeared, and there's a way that it appeared. It's just that no one can with certainty explain how, but nevertheless it did. Just seemingly overnight. Now, when you take the fact that with mammals, life itself, it's just like the Bible says, the life is in the blood. Okay, when there are mutations that happen, the very last mutation that would ever happen in the human body is, you guessed it, the blood. The blood would be the last to mutate, because if you're in horrible accident or you need a transfusion and they give you the wrong blood, you're dead. Now with me, I am O negative. I am the universal donor, but I can only receive O negative blood. Hey, Patricia. Patricia and I had a lengthy discussion last night about this, and thank you so much for being here, Patricia. And tonight's been a doozy, and we've talked about different things, which I'll get to. And Patricia, if you want to join in about what we talked about later, please do so, because I value your input and you are spot on. So, yes, that's quite something. And it's it is still just some problems, but we'll get through it. So the blood is the last thing in the human body that would mutate, because it would be death. It's just not going to happen. Matter of fact, you can look at it this way. This is this may sound extreme, but I assure you it's not. It's not crazy, but when you take a person that is Rh positive and a person that's Rh negative, the woman who is Rh Rh negative, if her husband is positive, she must take medication, injections. I believe it's after the first child, so she won't miscarry, because her body views the Rh positive father, his sperm, DNA, if you will, views it as being foreign, like a virus, and so it attacks it and aborts the fetus. Now, when that takes place, that is, you could say, and this is the truth, it is literally two different species that are reproducing. When that happens in nature, you take a horse and a donkey. Yes, they can mate, and the offspring is a mule. It's a hybrid. Now, one thing about mules, since they're hybrids, hybrids are sterile. They can't reproduce. At least the male mules, that's kind of hard to say, they're sterile because they're hybrids. And a hybrid is a life form of two different species. And when you think about that, when you think about what the Bible says, the life is in the blood, whether you believe in the Bible or not, whether you are spiritual or not, you cannot deny the fact that it is stating a very important truth The life is in the blood. Now, I don't believe that it is talking so much about the blood as it's talking about the DNA, the genetics, the genes. So, if you're with me so far, we'll continue, because it gets very, very complicated. And buckle your seatbelt, because it's going to get weird. But everything I tell you, you're going to say, I don't know if I believe this guy. But then when I explain it, you'll see that it's feasible. And when you see that it's feasible, then it's possible. And if it's possible, then it just may be. So please give me that opportunity to do that, because this is something very important to me. And you'll know why when we're through, when this show's over. So, Patricia, you say, yes, lions and tigers are sterile and cannot reproduce. That's why they're so rare. Absolutely. And that's why that Rh negative blood, that's why people with Rh negative blood are so rare. Now, just not to jump ahead, but with me, I am O negative, but I have I've had blood test, genetic test done. My ex-wife and I, we had 3 miscarriages, and she was, I believe she was A positive, or maybe she was A positive. I'm O negative. And she had the first miscarriage, had the second miscarriage, so we went to the fertility clinic, which is known worldwide here in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas Metroplex area. It's a husband and wife team, and there's people that come from all over the world to them, and they're very, very good experts, and have helped many people conceive, and so we went to the best of the best, and they had blood tests on both of us, and genetic test, genetic markers, testing our genetic markers and everything. And what was strange was my wife was taking the maximum of the anti-rejection medication that you can take. Matter of fact, she was taking more than she was supposed to be taking. Of course, it was approved by the doctor because of how her body was rejecting my sperm, my DNA, if you will. And but I'm Rh negative. She was positive. Okay, well, in talking about this, it is always, the problem is when a woman is negative and the man is positive. That's where the miscarriage happens. Okay, with me and my wife, And actually my first wife too. My first wife, she had a miscarriage. We didn't know why at that time, but I think I do now because of the mounting evidence. And you're right, Jacob. Sherlock Holmes said, when you have eliminated all the possibilities, the impossible has to be possible. Absolutely. And thank you for that. Thank you. I can certainly, that's something that is going to be true tonight. But my wife was positive and I'm negative. Okay. You can search, you can Google Rh negative, syndrome, and I have yet in let's see, 16 years, I have yet to find any case where the man was negative and the woman was positive and there was any trouble. No trouble at all. Like I said, it's when the woman is negative and the man is positive is when there's the miscarriage. Her body attacks the positive, but with me, it's reversed. And I have, okay, Jake, you say no sound on your end. Can everybody else hear me? Hello, hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, you can hear me, Mona? Okay. Okay, Mona, would you let Jacob know to turn the app off and turn it back on, and maybe that will help. Yeah, so that really makes me feel a little bit different, to say the least, because right, thank you, Mona. Makes me feel a little different, or a lot different, when I have, because of my rare blood type and genetic makeup, which I'll get to that later, basically it has caused 4 miscarriages, and our baby was 16 weeks, and oh, good, thank you, Jacob. Our baby was 16 weeks, and it was her 3rd pregnancy, and what the doctor told us is that once we passed the 14-week mark, there was only a 2% chance of miscarriage, and we were so happy. Remember the heartbeat and everything, and we got to see the sonogram. And that 16th week, she started hemorrhaging, and took her in, and there was no heartbeat. So that's rough, And I mean, it was a girl. She had, she had fingers, toes. I mean, it's just, horrible. And I can't lie to you. I mean, I feel guilty about it. I mean, I feel guilty because it's like, why am I so different? It's crazy. I mean, but
let's see, Elaine, you say, my sister-in-law had to have drugs, Rh negative. My brother was O positive and had the chemical that he could donate to natal ICU babies, etc., but did not have a lot of problems with her first child, but when she had her second child, her uterus exploded. Yes, and that's what I'm talking about, is when the woman is Rh negative, and it's so hard to keep this in order, to keep this right. So when the woman is Rh negative, the Rh positive man is the can be the cause of the miscarriage if she's not taking medication. Patricia. Patricia. I don't think she meant like kaboom, but I would certainly hate that. I would not want to be around for that, but I think she meant ruptured. But that's just that's crazy. Yeah, we certainly don't want that. I mean, it's like, oh, you look bad today. Oh, sorry. Anyway, but let's see. You say, and well, it can certainly rupture. Absolutely right, Jacob. Absolutely. I hear you, brother. Okay. You say your brother was O positive and had the chemical that he could donate, okay, to babies. Did not have a lot of problems with her first child, but when she had her second, yes, okay. That's just it. First child is okay. Every other child after that, you're in trouble. But that's just it. She was the negative. My wife was positive, and I was negative. And by all medical standards that I've researched, that I've studied, even the fertility doctors and geneticists inform me that there shouldn't be a problem with her being positive and me being negative. And I said, well, what's the problem? And they said, we simply don't know. But there is one. And like I said, Google it, and please, if you can find where there is a negative man that is the cause of the Rh negative syndrome in a positive woman, please contact me, because I've never found that. I've never found that at all. But anyway, back to the differences and or the difference with Rh negative and Rh positive. There are actually physical and there are mental traits that Rh negative people have, and I'm going to talk about 4 of them, and you can feel free to let me know if you disagree, or comment if you do agree and you know what I'm talking about. Elaine, you say she was lucky. She was already in the birth process and at the hospital. She was in the OR prepping for a C-section. When they made the first incision, it ruptured and she almost bled out, and her and the baby both almost died. They called out to the family to give blood because she lost so much. That's terrible. Horrible. Yeah, I feel. But now there are 4 different major blood types. There's A, there's B, there's AB, and there's O. This typing is based on the different antigens that are on a person's blood cells and their type of protein. I don't want to get into all that because I really don't know how to explain it, but it makes the difference. It's the difference in the blood types. Some people have an additional protein to their blood type called the Rh factor, which resides on the surface of the red blood cells. If you have this protein, then you are Rh positive. If not, then you are Rh negative. Being Rh negative isn't necessarily a bad thing, this article says. It simply puts you into one of the smaller population groups that are classified by blood type. It also means that you are likely to have some of these Rh negative blood type personality traits. And by the way, the Rh stands for the rhesus monkey, because for years it was believed that man evolved from monkeys, and for up until 35,000 years ago, give or take a few thousand years, everyone was Rh positive. So, and I'll get into that later. But anyway, number 1 personality trait of Rh negative people is they have a great need, almost an obsession, to have facts. They are truth seekers. They love truth, and they seek truth, and they don't want to hear all of the trimmings. They just want the facts. Okay. Now, how many, which I'm not just saying that it's just only Rh negative blood type, people with Rh negative blood that are like that. But I'm saying that, yes, Patricia, absolutely. And you're negative just like I am. We talked about that last night. I know. That's me. I need to know now. Absolutely. And you, my little dear, you don't need to know now. You needed to know. You need to know last week. Yeah. And so it says people who are Rh negative want to be able to create their own opinions from the facts that are on hand in any given situation. Oh, I love this article. Jacob, you say I used to sell plasma 5 times a month. I like doing that. They call it donating, but if they give you money for it, it's not exactly donating. That's true. Yeah, I know, Patricia. Absolutely. Like I said, or like I've said, you're my spiritual daughter, and I'm proud of it. We are very much alike. Yeah. Except for me, it's like I want to know last year. But anyway, they want to be able to create their own opinions from the facts that are on hand in any given situation. Opinions are appreciated as part of the evaluation process, but not appreciated if they are being presented as fact. This personality wants to seek out the truth in all things and is never really satisfied until it is discovered. I've described myself as a bulldog for the longest time. I guess since I was a kid. I mean, once I sink my teeth into something, once I engage it, I don't let it go until I get the truth. And that's a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. So, number 2, there's a feeling of being different. And I'm not just talking about feeling out of place around people. I mean, that's normal. I mean, it's feeling, there's a feeling of being different. Like, you literally are not, I hate to say this, but it's like you feel like you're an alien. You feel like you're in this world, but you're not of this world. Now, don't shoot me down. I'm just saying, how many of you feel that way? That you're in this world, but you don't feel you're of this world. Absolutely, Jacob. Sound like my plasma could possibly save a life, and I'm sure it did. And getting paid for it was a bonus in my mind. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. This says, people with Rh-negative blood always tend to feel like they stand out from the rest of the crowd. This leads them toward careers that are both creative and fact-seeking, such as astronomy, engineering, or other sciences. They don't necessarily see being different as being a bad thing, but they will naturally seek out others with the same blood type, naturally to form a closer kinship than they feel like they can with others. And we actually do that subconsciously. We don't even realize that we're actually doing it. Mona, you say, me definitely always felt like I should have been born in a different generation and felt different than the kids around me. Well, Mona, you are very different. Look who your fiance is. You know, hey, mic drop. You know, and Mona is my fiance, by the way. So, for those of you that are listening, that aren't aware, Mona is my sweetheart. So, anyway, Patricia, you say, I did and I still do. I know that. I know you do. Say, I thought I was a bit insane. I was a bit different than others. Being polite and apologize a lot. Yes. And would act different than everyone else. I feel so much older than those around me. Well, that's because you are. And I'll get to that later. Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. Yes, Patricia, keep that coming. Man, you always knock it out of the park. But as far as you being different, I think you're, sometimes I think that, well, I don't know if I should say this, but I feel like that you're a reincarnation of me. But the only thing is I haven't died yet, so, which that is a paradox, big time. Moving on. Number 3, and this describes you, Patricia, to a T. They are ridiculously smart. You'll find that many people look at folks with Rh-negative blood as being arrogant, cocky, or just downright rude when it comes to life. You know what? With me, I have been mislabeled as arrogant, cocky, and sometimes just downright rude. And those of you that, right, Patricia, and those of you that know me, I'm not going to say anything, but because if I say it, then it doesn't mean much. But I'm definitely none of those things. Am I confident? Yes. Am I conceited? Am I arrogant, cocky, or rude? Absolutely not. Well, Jacob, we haven't set a date yet. Mona, she's just been begging me to, set a date and just, following me around and, and this and that and everything. But Patricia, I am going to die after the show. Okay, Mona's going to kill me. All right. Anyway, and that was all bull right there. What I just said. Okay. It says the only problem is that this personality can back up everything they say because of their much higher than average IQ compared to other personality traits. If you think about the smartest person you know, then there's a good chance that the person has Rh negative blood. Elaine. Mona, you say, see, you're making my point, baby. What point? I'm not following. Sometimes I can be dense, oh, yes, absolutely. Patricia, absolutely. You, Randy, yes. What? Read below? Mona, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm sorry. Oh. I said you can be a little cocky at times. Yeah, that's just a show. That's just an act. Truthfully, I mean, I make tremendous boasts and exaggerate just to make people laugh, but I'm not serious, but I am the greatest of all time. So anyway, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I am the white Muhammad Ali. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. By the way, I used to be a Golden Gloves boxer, and that was my little jingle. So anyway, Jacob, you say it will come to you, the date that is. Well, absolutely. And but what this just said here in this article, you can feel Mona's rage all the way from Utah. It says the only problem is that this personality can back up everything they say. Okay, well, Mona, in response to your comment, it's not cocky if you can back it up. Just saying. Mic drop. Okay. Love you. Oh, that's a good idea. Facebook Live for anyone that can't be there. Okay. Number 4, they experience many unexplained things in life. Mic drop. Wow. They experience many unexplained things in life. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you. Mic drop, love you. If you speak to someone who has an Rh negative blood type, then there's a good chance they've experienced something unusual at least once in their lives. Oh man, I need to talk to this guy. This experience can vary greatly. Some say that they were abducted by aliens. Well, I hope not. I had this thing against probes. ET says, come here. I'm like, I don't think so, bud. I'll be running like Forrest Gump, Phew. Braces, if I was wearing braces, they would melt. No probe for me. Anyway, says, some say they were abducted by aliens. Others talk about psychic dreams that they have on a regular basis. Others claim that they have mental traits like ESP or telekinesis, and it's up to you to determine if they are telling the truth or are they telling their truth. Yes, Patricia, you say, holy crap. Yep, some experiences seem outlandish, and I have a feeling they're always thinking I'm lying, but wait till it happens to you. Absolutely. And that's what I've said as far as being, performing deliverance or, guiding people through, deliverance with the demonic. And I'm not going to go into that, but they don't believe, and they make fun of people who do, until it happens to them. And then they're believers. Then they believe it. And so, but we're not here to talk about that. Not tonight. Anyway, so one thing that I will say that people with Rh negative blood type have, to sometimes an astonishing degree, is empathy. Off the charts. And that we come to number 5. They sense emotions in others to the point it can make them sick. Also known as empathy. Patricia, you say something, but I always manage to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's, let's see, does that have anything to do with number 3? They are ridiculously smart? Is that what you're asking? Oh, okay. This may be a bit strange, but I feel kind of dumb for not quite understanding how someone could make up a scheme as to stealing or something, but I always manage to give them the benefit of the doubt. Yes, I would say so. But having just turned 50 less than 2 days ago, that will come with age. That will come in time. You won't be calloused, I don't believe, but you won't be so apt to give people the benefit of the doubt. And that's not rude. That's just experience. And as I've always said, experience is the best teacher. There's nothing that can take its place. And someone said, like, don't you wish you were 16 again? No, I don't. I much prefer 50. 16? Whew, you can keep it. Nope, not interested. Jacob, you say Sister Mona, Brother Shane is smart enough to know that he is a lucky, well, more like blessed man. Absolutely, I am. I really am. Mona's great. She's amazing. And I mean that. Can't even describe it. So, Anyway, give a person with a positive blood type and a person with a negative blood type the same article about Syrian refugees and the hardships that they face. After reading the article, the Rh negative blood type personality will empathize with the people involved, place themselves into the shoes of those refugees, and physically experience the same symptoms that are described in the article, and the positive blood type will usually not. Empathetic illnesses are very common with this population group. Now, I used to do that, but I've learned to filter it. I've learned to, not shield, but I've learned to what to let in and what not to let in. So if you have a high level of empathy, which would, that's the definition of an empath, that's something that's priceless. I know a lot of empaths, they tend to isolate themselves and stay at home, and I'm guilty of that. But it's not because I cannot be around people. I can be in Grand Central Station and be perfectly fine, comfortable, calm, because I've learned how to filter everyone's emotions and feelings and everything. Used to, I did not even go to the store because I felt everyone's emotions, and it was like they were dumping them on me. Well, I was actually drawing them to myself and didn't even know it. And so, yes, and if you're an empath, you're having problems like that, and you want to talk or need some tips or some advice, please feel free to contact me. The textualistpodcast@gmail.com. Anyway, number 6, they have a remarkable level of intuition. You do not want to play poker with someone who has an Rh negative blood type. Their high levels of intuition can smell out a bluff a mile away. This intuition can also lead these folks to make what seems like an unusual decision at the time for everyone observing them, but in the future, the reasoning behind the choice becomes clear. They are always thinking 3 steps ahead, listening to their gut instincts, and generally making the right choices because of it. Okay, and then that was number 6, and then we will cover the last one, and then we'll move on to another aspect of this topic. It's very interesting. So just hang in there and enjoy this song. Be right back.
Darkness falls, walking empty corridors, dusty roads, seeing things never shown.
And we are back. So, number 7 on this list is, I don't quite agree with it. Maybe I'm just the exception, or, but, let's see. Let me, thank you, Jacob, thank you. Patricia, you say, and then they go into a rage, namely me, when you give advice as to why they should trust your instincts, but they don't listen, and then you essentially tell them you told them so. Yeah, that's, I usually don't even tell them I told you so. Now, that's something that they already have, they've already figured that out themselves. So it's kind of, I don't think that's a good idea, because that can cause a lot of resentment. I told you so. But and you say, why is this a more techno-sounding version of the song and Never-Ending Story and Phantom of the Opera mixed together? Well, just so you would ask that question. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea. That song is Soldier by Sebastian Forslund. And if you like that, I can send you I'll put the info on the chat, but for you. Matter of fact, if you like any of the songs, those of you that are taking part in the chat, just let me know, and I will give you the name of the song and the artist and all that good stuff. So anyway, oh good, thank you. This is here. I'll put this here for you. Let's see. There you go, Patricia. Soldier by Sebastian Forslund. And I played a song of his the other night, and I believe you like that too. So he's somebody you should look up. And definitely so. Okay. Number 7. They are easily frightened. You're welcome, Patricia. Absolutely. I'm not easily frightened. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm just not. Since people with the Rh negative blood type personality are so busy looking forward to see what's coming their way that they often miss what is right in front of them. Sometimes that means they might smash their face into a door. No. Stub their toe on a vacuum or trip on the stairs. No, that's not me. It also means that unexpected scary things can give them quite the fright. Because this wasn't predicted, this personality type considers these scares to be unexplained, and then they just go back to whatever it was they were doing. The Rh negative blood type personality trait is one of the most unique in the human race today. They are forward thinkers who believe that fate, God, or destiny has a mission for their life. Some might even say that they are not of this world, and in some ways that might be a factual statement. So, that was, well, yes,
I say that I don't get scared easily. One thing that really bothers me is when someone walks up, they don't say anything, and I turn around and they're standing there, quiet. I would rather you come through the wall screaming like a banshee Indian, that would not scare me as bad as turning around and just having someone appearing, not saying anything. And don't grin when you do that. That's just, that's creepy. Yeah, not a good idea. But anyway, so this is another thing that I want to add is that they do believe that fate, God, or destiny is controls their life or controls directs their paths. They also believe that they have a mission in life, and most often it is for the betterment of others, for helping others. And then this person says, some might even say that they are not of this world. In some ways that might be a factual statement. So, and then we get to another article that I read. This is February 8th, 2018. According to a new theory, people with Rh negative blood do not come from Earth. Jacob, you say, look, I felt my brother's pain from this massive blood clot in his left leg. He said it went from his ankle to his hip the day before and the day he went to the ER and found I could barely put any pressure on my left leg. Don't get me wrong, my left ankle has a lot of titanium holding it together and working, but it hurt all the way up to my hip. It hasn't happened before, and hopefully it won't ever happen again. Well, that's literally taking on their pain, feeling what they feel, and that can be painful. Definitely so. But what are your views on what if it was true that people with Rh negative blood that they don't come from Earth? What if they are aliens? What if they are different, a different species? What if they do have these abilities and that most people don't have, or people are limited in what they have as far as abilities and things like that? What would that mean in the what does that mean in the world? What do you think would happen if that was the case? If that was ever proven? Patricia, you say, does that mean we're going to be deported? What are you, a cop? Well, no. Matter of fact, and I'll get to that shortly. No, there's really no reason to be apprehensive or fear if you are Rh negative. I mean, it's just something that it's people fear what they don't understand. So it's just a matter of understanding. But what do you think would happen in the world today if it was if scientists came out and said, yes, people who have Rh negative blood are not humans, they're aliens? What would happen? Just your opinion. Yes, you got me, Patricia. I thought you were serious. Well, do you think people would, welcome us with open arms? I don't think so. I think it would be, I don't think that they would at all. I think it would be bad. And since there's, it would be like 12 at tops, 18-20% of the population, we'd kind of be at a disadvantage there. But now let's see. I'm looking up something here. Let's see. Okay. Now that's you'll forgive me. I mean, a little difficulty here, but get right to that. Okay, here it is. Out of all of the U.S. presidents, I believe they all had Rh negative blood. I think there was a question on one or two, but out of the 45, there's just maybe one who didn't, or one or two that they're unsure of. But they all, it's basically said every U.S. president has had Rh negative blood. Patricia, you make a good point, but we've already been among them. Doesn't that play a factor in it? Well, yes and no. Yes. Well, Mona, I believe you're right. And you say, I think that it will be like the X-Men. Well, that's people may laugh at that, but look at what X-Men, what it's about. I mean, it's about mutants. Okay, well, Rh negative blood, factor is not a mutation. It's not a mutation. That's not to say that you're wrong, Mona, but the Rh blood factor is it's a completely different species. I mean, it's not just a mutation. And you say they've been amongst humans all their lives. That's right. But when it comes out in the open, the people are going to be split. Yes. But some people will think we're freaks and others won't. Some will want to experiment, some wouldn't care. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what it boils down to is how much power and pull do the people have who want to experiment? Who want to, observe and because with me, and this is what I'm going to tell tonight in detail for the first time ever, and I rarely tell anybody this, and to be honest with you, I really don't know why I'm doing it now, but I told some of it last night. I'm going to go ahead and just finish, tonight. In 2002, like I said, my ex-wife, she had a miscarriage, and and then we went to the fertility experts, and they did blood tests, genetic tests, all that good stuff, and we went back for our test results the next week. They opened hers, they looked at it, said, everything's fine. They opened mine and closed it. It was the husband and wife, fertility doctors, and their nurse. He opened my test results, and he just put them back in the envelope and closed it. And then he says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Moore." He says, "We're going to have to do a second test." He says, "This test has been compromised some way." And so I asked him, "Compromised?" And he says, "Yes." He said, "The results," he says, "are just," he said, "it's the test was compromised some way. Something affected this test, ruined this test." He says, "But just bear with us, and we'll do another test, and everything will be fine." So they did, and went back the next week, and when we sat down, it was like same time, same station. I mean, same thing. And he opened the envelope. I never will forget it. He opened the envelope, manila envelope, and pulled out my test results. And his wife is sitting on the right-hand side, and his nurse is sitting on the left-hand side. And they all jumped back, and the nurse gasped, just literally. And I said, "What's wrong?" he looked up at me and he said, "Nothing." And I said, "No, there's something wrong." I said, I saw that. I said, I saw you all were shocked by something. And I said, and she, pointing to the nurse, I said, and she was actually scared. I said, something scared her. I said, what's wrong? And he says, your test results are the same. They're the same. Nothing's changed. I'm like, well, I like to be consistent. I'm kidding. And I said the same, and he says, yes. And you could see they were visibly shaken, okay? And I'm not being threatening. I have no idea what the problem was. But the atmosphere in that office changed 180. Completely. And it was like they, before that, they were just, very, very friendly and didn't mind, shaking hands or, getting close. Hey, they distanced themselves from me like I had some kind of plague, or I was going to infect them, or, yeah, Jacob, we would have to get green cards. Oh, man. And they were scared. They were visibly afraid of something. I have no idea. And so I said, well, what does that mean exactly? And he said, I don't know. He says, give us 30 minutes. He says, I'm going to fax. This is 2002. He said, I'm going to fax your test results. And this is blood test and genetic test. Full comprehensive test of both. And he said, so I'm going to fax your test results to our mentor, geneticist in Chicago. He said he is expert, probably the best in the world. And so I said, okay. I said, be right here, So my wife and I, we were sitting there in the office, and she says, what's going on? I said, you tell me. I said, this is all, it's new to me. Certainly not boring. And she said, she says, she said, it just seemed like that things changed. And I said, things did change. That's undeniable. Things did change. And so 30 minutes passed, and it was more like 45 minutes. They all came in, and it wasn't good. The main doctor did not have a good look on his face. And matter of fact, none of them did. The nurse, she was looking at me like, you stay away from me, and I'm thinking, I've done nothing to even remotely make you think that I'm going to harm you in some way. It was like they were looking at me like I was raised by wolves or something, And so they all sit down, and he said, he said, fax your test results to him. He says, and he said, he called us, and he said, that's a good one. He said, you're so funny. He said, did you really think you were going to get me? He thought it was a joke. He thought they were playing a practical joke on him. And he says, I told him, no, this is no joke. He said, what, he says, can you explain those test results? And he said, you're serious? And he says, yes. He said, the man whose test results that you're looking at is sitting in my office. And he said that the genetic expert told him, and I never will forget this, I mean, this is a lot of heavy information coming in a matter of, 30 minutes. He said the genetic expert told him, he said, if the man whose test results I'm looking at is sitting in your office, truly, he is not a man. And I just looked at the doctor like, okay, where's the hidden cameras? You're not really a doctor, you just play one, right? This is all a joke. No, unfortunately it wasn't. And so that's why that they were so fearful. I said, so what does this mean exactly? And he starts having trouble speaking. He's mumbling, he's backtracking, he's doing everything he can. And I just looked at him and I said, would you please just tell me? I said, I can handle it. I said, I just want to know the truth. And he said, the truth is, he said, with your genetic makeup and your genetic markers, he said, there is no way that, he said, there's no scientific, biological, or medical basis that you could be classified as a human being. Now, you want to talk about feeling different? You want to talk about feeling like you're in a dream? And I look over at my wife, and she's just, she's like, obviously, hurt because, she was wanting children. I mean, I did too. And, that's not going to happen because, no, Yamona. It's, I really pressured him because he didn't want to say it. But there was no other way to say it. And I admire him for that. I thank him for that. Because truth is he was just telling me what the expert told him. He said, if the man whose test results I'm looking at is sitting in your office, he's not a man. And but I pressured him until we were both getting, aggravated. And so he said, he says, he was very nice about it. I mean, he wasn't rude or anything. But he said there's no medical, biological, or scientific basis that we could even classify you as a human being. And that's fine with me. I mean, I told him, I said, I've always felt that I was different. And he said, you also have a very rare blood type. And I said, how rare? And he said, most rare. Well, O negative is not the most rare. AB negative is the most rare. But there's something about my blood type, certain proteins and different things that makes my blood type unique. And I asked him what that meant, and he said it would not be a good thing. He says if you ever needed a transfusion. So I'm thinking, well, I'm really knocking it out of the park here, it's just the hits just keep coming, And Patricia, you say, may I ask what your parents' blood type is? Yes, my mother is A positive and my dad is B positive. But that's not to say that that it's impossible for two positive parents to have a child that's negative, because you actually have two blood types. You can be A positive or B positive, O positive, AB positive, but you can have certain I forget what they're called, alleles or something like that, behind like a second set or backup or whatever, and that determines it comes from your mother and father, but because of what they have as far as secondary can produce a negative child. So, but it gets even better. When he told me, he says, I can't even classify you as a human being, or you couldn't be classified as a human being. He said, you obviously are, and forgive me, but this is it's so crazy. I mean, it's difficult to say. I mean, but he said you obviously are part human. He said you are not completely human. And it's like, I'm thinking I'm in a movie. I mean, I'm thinking, what's going on, And yeah, I mean, I've always felt different. I've always felt like I'm in this world but not of this world. But man, I didn't think, I tend to go above and beyond, and I certainly didn't disappoint in that day. But I said, so what you're telling me is I can't have children. And he says, no, you can. He says, but only with a woman like you. He's saying that right in front of my wife, who's already upset. So he's basically saying, yes, you can, but you can't have a child with her. You have to have you can have a child with a woman like you. He says, but that would be like finding a single grain of sand on all the beaches of the world, on all the beaches of the earth. I said, so, no go. I said, that's what you're telling me. And he says, well, it's not impossible. And I'm thinking, well, what's your definition of impossible if that's not it, Anyway, the atmosphere got so weird, and they were acting so strange that I said, thank you very much. My wife felt
uncomfortable. Matter of fact, I told her at one point, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if men in hazmat suits and rifles came busting through the wall and come with us. And she said, I wouldn't either. And she said, I think we need to go. And yeah, I think so. So we left and thanked him and everything. And it was so strange because he didn't even shake my hand. He was that distant. And anyway, that was that. And so about 3 years later, I called the doctor's office, and because I had been doing research on this very thing, and I asked him, or I called the fertility clinic, world renowned, and requested my files, because I wanted my test results, and so I could do a better job of researching it and everything. And to my surprise, the receptionist or whatever, she said that my files had been destroyed. And I told her I didn't understand. I said I thought you had to keep medical files at least 7 years, something like that. Why were my files destroyed? And she said there was some kind of a mistake or an error, and they were just destroyed. My opinion is, when she said they were destroyed, I believe a better term would be confiscated or reported, archived, and not at the doctor's office. Archived somewhere else, power center, think in terms of, political power, that's kind of difficult to talk about, but, yeah, well, I'm just going to say it, it's like, that there were, my files were destroyed, just mine, that's strange. I think confiscated is a better word. I think archived with certain agencies. And I know this sounds like X-Files. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm living proof. I'm being honest with you. And it's not easy, because I know that I'm taking the risk of being called insane and crazy, and anyway, that was 2002. 2008, I was doing some research on certain things, and online, researching places on Earth, not the universe, not the stars or anything like that. Just, places, normal places that, some unassuming places, and that would be considered PowerPoints, I'll say, like natural PowerPoints, or dimensional PowerPoints. And it was about 2:30 in the morning, and I'm on my laptop, and my computer screen, it's like someone let the mini blinds down black. It just goes black. My cell phone rings, and I answer it. Of course, it says unknown, caller unknown. I answer it because it's so, it's 2:30 in the morning. And, hello? And this man speaks with a German accent. He says, "We know what you're up to. We know what you're doing." And I said, "Really?" And he says, "Yes." And, and I said, "And what am I doing?" And he says, "You know what you're doing." And I'm like, "Who the hell are you?" And he says, "Watch yourself. Watch yourself." He says, "We can be on your doorstep in 10 minutes." And I'm going to stop the German accent because I'm no good at it. But just, it was very, very heavy German accent. And he says, we can be on your doorstep, a team on your doorstep in 10 minutes and take you in. And I said, "Well, come on." I said, "But neither one of us want that." And he says, "I agree." And so, and to be honest with you, I have no idea why I told him that. Why I told him to come on. Because prior to that, I thought it was a joke. I thought somebody was playing a joke on me. Practical joke. And I said, "Ha ha, you're funny, He says, "No, there's nothing funny about this." And he was very, very clear-spoken, very articulate, and, German accent, but still, and you could tell this guy had authority. He was not lacking in authority. He was not lacking in confidence. Yeah, he was in charge, or he thought he was. And that's the only problem when you've got, two people that, well, I'm not going to go there right now, but he said, I said, so, what are your credentials? And he popped them off like you would not believe. Really, just by the book. And he says, don't laugh, he says, "I am Special Agent Frankfurt." And I said, "Oh, great, yeah, right, And he gave me his full credentials. ID number, clearance level, blah, 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 all this. And so I did what everybody should do. Would you repeat that? Because if it's somebody playing a joke, somebody pulling your leg, they're not going to be able to repeat it, They're going to try to, and they're going to make mistakes. This guy repeated everything verbatim perfectly. And I said, "Special Agent Frankfurt?" And he says, "Yes." and Special Agent Munich and Special Agent Berlin are here. I said, oh, so you go by, major German cities. And yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's original. So anyway, this was prior to him saying, watch yourself, have a team at your door, 10 minutes take you in. And this is 2008, so 9/11 had come and gone. So I knew this guy was not, he was not kidding. But I said, okay, come on. But neither one of us want that. And he says, I agree. I don't know why I said that, but I did. Anyway, he told me, I said, you don't even know me. He says, we've been monitoring you a long time. He told me my mother's maiden name. He read off my social security number. He told me things that no one should know about me. I mean, things that really unsettling. I mean, he says, do you know what time you usually do your shopping? I said, okay, go for it. He says, 2:30 to 3 in the morning. He says, because you avoid the crowds. You avoid, the busyness. And I'm like, damn, this guy's good. And I said, okay, I'll give you that, How do you know that? Well, monitoring, there's that monitoring again, Well, remember that word, monitoring, just, put that in the back of your mind, monitoring. Anyway, I asked him, I said, what agency are you with? And he says, we don't have a name. We have no name. It's like, he basically said, we're above names. So, let's see, I missed some of the chat. Moni said he was a coward. Well, maybe. And then Patricia said, you better watch yourself because I'm about to roundhouse kick him in the face. I will even get on a chair to do it. Yeah, you'd need to. Oh, Jake, okay, glad you're back. Oh, yeah, I know you were joking about the green cards. And you're RH negative too. So, yeah, see, and we're all here talking, sharing, and everything. And, yeah, so, there's a reason for that. I mean, but, he, basically said, we don't have a name. We're not under any authority because, well, he didn't have to say it. I mean, he said it by not saying it. Basically saying, we're not under any authority because we are the authority. And I'm thinking, well, you're not my authority. I'm sorry, but, well, I'm not sorry. You're not my authority. Now, does that mean that they couldn't come and with a team and take me and beat my ass like a rented mule? Pardon me, but absolutely not. But you know, before someone is my authority, I have to submit to them. And, well, you'd be looking at a dead man in that case. And because I'm not going to do it. I'm allergic to it. And surprisingly, this guy knew that. This guy knew that. And it's weird because there was a mutual respect there. Because when he made the threat, and I told him to come on, but neither one of us want that. It was like he respected that. And most of the time in dealing with people like that, people in power, you just do that one time and you pay for it. But there was mutual respect to the point to where that, and like I said, this is going to be crazy night, but just bear with me. He said that they'd been monitoring me a long time. Okay. Well, I'm thinking about when I was a child. I started kindergarten, 5 years old. And about 2 months into, kindergarten, the teacher, she starts, giving me these tests and everything, more and more difficult, and I'm enjoying it, because I'm doing good, and it's somewhat of a challenge eventually, and they get more and more difficult, and I enjoy a good challenge, and so next thing you know, the school, they tell my mother that they want to put me in a gifted program for gifted children. That I'm so intelligent and, genius level. And my view on intelligence is it's relative. Maybe I can be intelligent here on some subjects, but you put me in the middle of the desert in the dark of night, and the shepherd or the guy out in the middle of the desert that most people would say was ignorant, who would be the genius then, and who would be ignorant? There you go. I certainly wouldn't be the genius. I would need his intelligence to survive. So, but anyway, they, he's brilliant, he's this, he's that, and everything, and so my mother, she's like, well, if it helps him, that's great, just like any mother would, any parent would. And I remember that it was not in school. No, not in school. This program, the magnet program, was, or the one that I was in, consisted of 2 men coming to our house each week, wearing not men in black, not black suits, but they were wearing dark suits and about the same size, similar appearance, dressed alike. Wasn't a uniform.
It wasn't like uniform suits or anything, but they were dressed alike, same size, same similar appearance. They acted the same. They would bring me activity books, coloring books, but these were no normal, regular children's coloring books. These had pages to color, all right, but the pictures consisted of everyday things. But what's weird is in the sky you might see flying saucer. In the woods you might see like a little gray alien or something. Just different things. You might see something that's levitating, like I don't know exactly. It's been 45 years ago, but you might see a something that's just in the air. There's nothing under it. It's like floating or whatever, and different things. And they would give me these books and crayons and tell me to color. And these were pretty good size, coloring books. Tell me to, color, and they'd go through the pages with me, and the whole time, the one that was presenting it was looking at me and was showing me the book. The other man was doing what? Monitoring me, monitoring my reactions, monitoring if I would point out the UFO or point out the flying saucer, if I'd point out the alien, if I would, do this or that. And Jacob, you say OTG. What is OTG? So they would say, if you complete this coloring book by this time next week, you can win one of these prizes. And they had this book, and it was like a little camera or a little gyroscope or something, that most kids would like. And I'm thinking, God, can't you do better than that? I mean, if I'm going to waste my time coloring in this stupid coloring book, I'm going to need a little bit more than some rinky-dink camera or something. And give me a telescope, something like that, that I can use. But what happened is I didn't care about the coloring books. I didn't care about the crayons. I didn't care about their activities. I didn't care about the prizes. Funny thing is my mother wound up doing the coloring, and when they would come back, I would give them the book, and they would ask me what prize, and I would just put my finger somewhere and say, "Oh, okay, right here. I'll take that." And so the truth is even at 5, they thought they were monitoring me, and what they were doing was using what they thought would divert a 5-year-old's mind and focus away from what they were doing, and that my guard would be let down, that I would let my guard down, and that they might I don't know, do something or gain some kind of insight or whatever. And I
played along to some extent, but truth is they thought they were monitoring me, and I was monitoring both of them. That's how I can tell you that the car they drove, four-door, like a Ford, I can't think of the name of it, Crown Victoria type, not black, it was like brown, and their suits were like dark brown, and they were both Caucasian, both about I don't know, maybe a little less than 6 foot, slim, not skinny, but slim, brown hair, clean shaven, and but there was something about them that I just didn't trust. I didn't feel threatened, but I didn't like them. I was just that type of kid. I mean, if I didn't like you, I really didn't have much to say, and I'm still like that. But anyway, when this call comes in, when this German calls me, we've been monitoring you a long time. It's like that triggered me, and I'm thinking, oh wow, you have been monitoring me a long time. I said, how long? And he says, a very long time, longer than you know. And I said, you're part of the magnet program, aren't you? Well, you know how that goes. I'm either going to confirm that or deny that. Well, you just confirmed it, bub. Thank you very much. And he said that asked him what the problem was, and he says, well, there's just certain knowledge, certain information that does not need to be made public. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, you know damn well what I'm talking about, which I did. I said, well, I'm not planning on making any knowledge public anytime soon. And he says, very good, very good. He says, the time will come to disseminate knowledge. This knowledge. He says, but now's not the time. I'm like, okay, whatever you say, Doc. And he says, we're just making sure you're keeping your nose clean. I said, always. And he says, let's see, Jacob, you say it's nice to have like-minded people to discuss things with. I don't associate with a lot of people, and I can count my true friends on one hand. Absolutely. I agree with that. But he said, I'm going to make an offer. I'm thinking, what? This is just getting so weird. As if it wasn't already weird enough. And I said, what kind of offer? And he says, offer you a job. I said, what kind of job? A foreman of sorts. I said, a foreman? What are you talking about? He says, a foreman. You would be in charge. You'd be overlooking people. And immediately I said, oh, you're talking about actually overlooking people, not a foreman overlooking employees. You're talking about concentration camps. And he says, no. We're not that, we don't use that. He says, we don't use that term. He's, that didn't work so well. I'm thinking, oh my God. Of course, I can't let on, that I'm, that it's bothering me, that it's, that I'm hearing this from this person, And I said, over, dissidents, prisoners, people being held against their will or whatever. Well, yes. And I said, no, I'm not interested. And he says, well, we knew you wouldn't be, but we felt it was best to ask anyway. And I said, well, answer's no. And I said, anyway, I said, not interested in, I said, is this some kind of quote unquote new world order, and he says, more one of, he says, not world domination. He says, more of unity. And I never will forget the way he said that. Not of domination. He says, we're not interested in dominating the world. He says, more of unity. And, unity can be a good thing, but in that context, it's not so good. So don't make the mistake. Don't make the mistake of, just accepting that unity is a good thing, because the unity that he was talking about was, it was more like forced unity, and that's the feeling that I got. Patricia, you say, why would they want you to be a foreman? Like, what benefit would they have of using you? I honestly can't answer that question. I do not know. But he said that they had been monitoring me a long time, and that set off the trigger for me. Hey, you're part of that, you must be part of that, program a long time ago. And so I don't know, there's just something I still don't know. I still don't know exactly what the deal is. Just like at the fertility clinic, I have no idea what the doctors and the nurse saw, what they were so scared of. No idea. And I'm being honest. If I did know, I would tell you. But I don't know. And if someone does, if someone can help me with that, if you know something I don't, please speak up. Please message me the Texas podcast at gmail.com, or because it's really something that I would like to know. But he says, we knew that you would say no. He says, but we thought it best to ask anyway. And so he says, but I said, well, why did you single me out? And he says, because you know more, because you know much more than the average citizen. His exact words. So what does that tell everyone? What does that tell people as human beings? What does that tell people as citizens, world citizens, not just U.S. citizens? I mean, I'm talking being a card-carrying member of the human race. What does that tell you? Oh, okay, it went silent for a second. Go figure. He said, I said, why, single me out, I mean, and he says, because you know much more than the average citizen. And, let's see, Mona, there's some creepy hanging about. Yes. But like I said, was the situation creepy? A little. Was the guy creepy? Honestly, not really. Like I said, there was like a mutual respect there. And I'm thinking, why is that? I mean, what does this guy have to respect in me? I mean, honestly, I'm not fishing for anything. I don't have to. I don't need to. I don't need a pat on the back. I don't need to, this or that. I'm seriously at a loss, because usually someone like that with that much power, and trust me, this guy had it. No doubt about that. And was he serious? Damn right he was serious. Did he have to be rude to get it across? No. He was very direct, but he was never rude. He was always respectful, but I knew that this guy was the real deal. I mean, I could feel it just radiating from him. And not to answer my own question, but maybe he could feel the same from me. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not easily scared. Was I scared then? No. Actually, I kind of like the odds, thinking about it. Now, don't think I'm crazy or anything, but I'm just saying, I enjoy a challenge, but I'm thinking, boy, that's a little much. But I never will forget when he says, he told me, he says, yes, Shane. Says, been monitoring you, will continue monitoring you. He says, you have a nice morning, and he says, he says, I have everything I need. He says, we'll be seeing you in the future. And I said, I know. Click. My computer comes back on. Now, when I told him, when he made the threat, I told him, come on. I have no idea why I said that. When he said, we'll be seeing you in the future, I have no idea why I said, I know. No idea at all. Because I didn't know. How could I know? I mean, it was weird. It was like, I don't know, it was like I wasn't the one talking. I mean, it was strange. Especially in situations like that, you would think that when you say something that you're going to be very, very careful about what you say. But you're right, Patricia. And one thing, Nazarene, I have goosebumps now. One thing is, and again, I'm not being religious. I'm just being truthful. In the Bible, Jesus says, when you are brought before magistrates and those who are, persecuting you and those who have the power to put you to death, when you're questioned, don't worry about what you're going to say. Don't worry about coming up with an answer, because your Father will speak for you by the Holy Spirit. And I'm not trying to convert anyone, but I believe that that's the case, because it was not me that was saying those things. That was answering that way, because number one, I knew this guy was the real deal, and tell him to come on, bring your team on. That's not really a good response. I mean, if you want to piss somebody off and have them, then yes, but I said that, and I'm thinking, why did I say that? And then I was surprised that I said, but neither one of us want that. And he says, I agree. And I'm thinking, you agree? Wow. Maybe that's why I said it. Maybe that's why And the truth is maybe if I hadn't said it, he would have taken that as a weakness. And I might have been I don't know, taken, who knows? But there was for some reason, I can't explain it, but I feel very, very strongly that this is tied in with the Rh negative factor, the red blood type that I have, and the anomalous genetic makeup. Something is just, it's just not, it's anything but normal. So, I don't know exactly where this man was calling from, but I could hear other men, German accents, in the background, and it was like some kind of hub or some kind of, they were busy. I mean, and but I talked to Patricia after last night's podcast, and she asked me something. She said, do you think that it's this or that? She said, physical or spiritual, and I said, it's all spiritual. And that's the truth, it is. Physicality has no use. It's useless in this case. It's all spiritual. And that was the overwhelming feeling that I got from this man, is that it's nothing to do with anything physical. It's all about spiritual authority, spiritual power. And but she said, do you think that it's something? And I said, think more in the terms of CERN. There, I said it. Think more of the terms of CERN. And, if you want to call me crazy, if you want to laugh, be my guest. But Dr. Geordie Rose has proudly stated and bragged about that that there are intelligent spiritual entities that are on their way. And he said it's like a swarm. His exact term, like a swarm. And that some people might call them demons. Some people might say they're evil. He says they're not demons. They're not evil. He said they just don't give a shit about humans. Well, sounds pretty much like demons to me. And also, he said that they viewed humans just like humans view ants. Step on you and go on their way. You're insignificant. Yeah, and he's bragging about creating portals, openings, rifts in space-time for these intelligent entities to come into our reality. Now, when he says things like that, why would anyone say something like that, knowing, well, he said they don't give a shit about humans. They view us like we view ants. Why would you let them in? Why would you be excited that they're on their way? Why would you say, and it's a swarm, and they view us like ants because they're so superior to us in every way. Why would you do that? My answer is because you've got a vested interest in the outcome. In other words, what I'm saying is for someone to do that, they've had to make a deal with the devil, per se, for their own personal gain. Betray humanity so you can, for your own gain.
And then Patricia, you said it absolutely freaked me out when you mentioned that, and the fact the dude is German. Geordie Rose is German. I'm not sure if he's German or not. Nazreen, you say, with all that's been going on in the world, I think this is going to be the beginning of the end. Well, with CERN, with their atrocious play, their drama that they had, where the clock stopped, and before it stopped, it was going backwards and forward, speeding up, and then it stopped, and then it started again. It's basically telling you that they control time. So when you say that this is going to be the beginning of the end, what if it's already ended? What if it's already ended and we're just on a timeline and we're just catching up? And maybe those in power, they're in power because they already know how it's going to end. Or let's say they're betting on a certain timeline, the most probable timeline, but I say they're probably going to be wrong. Oh, the guy on the phone, why did that freak you out? That he's German? Is it because of Hitler and that, or just wondering? But while you're answering that, I'll just take a few minutes. Oh, Patricia, you are so brilliant. Yes, it is all connected. And I was telling Mona before the show, I said it is. I said, how could I best explain it? I said, how could I best explain how it's all connected? I said, it is like I said it reaches into everything. Its tentacles. It's an octopus. It's like an octopus. Now think about that. An octopus. An octopus has how many tentacles? How many tentacles does an octopus have? And I know there's lag time, but this is important. Correct. What is 8 is the symbol for what? It's the infinity symbol. What is infinity? All time and no time. Correct? This interconnectedness is actually referred to as the octopus because its tentacles reach into every area of life as we know it. From the lowest to the highest positions, from the seemingly powerless to the
most powerful people and nations on earth. And as far as borders, as far as nationalities and things like that, I have nothing against that. Nothing against that. I mean, I think that it's, I think that it's, I think it's great that people are proud to be members of their country. But truth is, it's all connected. There's no borders. There's no, when it comes right down to it, that's show. That's wagging the dog. That's all it is. It's just money, money, money. Power, power, power. Why do you think that that the UN has soldiers? What did I say before? The German man that talked to me. We're not seeking world domination. We're seeking world unity. Hello, United Nations. United Nations. United Nations of the United States? No. United Nations of the world. Yes, of the world. What does the Bible talk about? Again, not being religious. I'm going to say that every time. I don't care how sick you get of it. I want you to know I'm not being religious. I'm not trying to cram anything into your belief system, but I'm telling you the truth, and you need to hear it. And you can take it, or you can leave it. It's fine. I respect what you do either way. But the Bible talks about not a state, not a country. It talks about a world system that eventually forces every person on the planet to either accept death, physical death, or to pledge their allegiance to the world ruler, which, the Book of Revelation says that, the Antichrist, which that's, that has such negative connotations. Actually, there's, it's Antichrist is anybody or that is against Christ or that is against the teachings of Christ. Someone that's for hatred or, that's against love. That's Antichrist. But this is going to be a man that it says that receives his power from the beast. Receives his power from the beast. And that the world system was going to be the system of the beast, which will be ruled by force and not by choice. And Jesus said, when they promise you peace and safety, run for the hills. What's he saying? When they promise you peace and safety, they're lying to you. They're leading you to the slaughter by promising you peace and safety. He says, when you hear that, run for the hills. He says, but lift up your hands because your redemption draws nigh. What does that mean? What does that mean if you take the Bible at its word, if you take Jesus at his word? And the way that I look at it, Patricia, hopefully this will help. Okay, because I'm on the upswing now. You say, I don't know if my anxiety is going crazy because of this conversation or if I'm just tired. Maybe both. But what is Jesus saying? And like I said, whether or not you believe in the Bible, you believe in Jesus, or whatever, that's your business. But you cannot deny that the teachings of Jesus, there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, matter of fact, they're very helpful. They're very conducive to a successful, happy life, to peace. What's he saying? He's saying, when that happens, run for the hills, but lift up your hands, for your redemption draws nigh. That means he's saying, hey, the battle may rage. You may have won some battles, you may have lost some battles, but you've already won the war. We win in the end. And that's what matters. A pure heart driven by love. Nothing can conquer that. So that's it. We win in the end. Okay. Anyway, take heart, and there's no need to fear. There's no need to be afraid. I've got a feeling everything's going to be all right. Okay. I'm going to take a short break, and I'll be right back.
Run out of things to say. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I start a little war. Yeah, I start a little war. Do you ever feel the same? go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you start a little war. Same way as before. Yeah, you start a little war. Same way as before. Yeah, you start a little war. If you know how to stop the noise that's inside our heads, please don't stop telling us things, horrible things, about counting to 10 again and again, always the same. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you start a little war. Same way as before. Yeah, you start a little war. Same way as before. Yeah, you start a little war. Same way as before. Yeah, you start a little war. Same way as before. Yeah, you start a little war.
And I'm back. Patricia has that anxiety. Just, just an observation. You say my anxiety. It's not your anxiety. It's anxiety. Don't own that. Just, not telling you what to do, but just give me a little nudge. Nazreen, you say I can very much relate to the lyrics of the song. That song is War by Martin Hall. Oh, okay. You just got a job offer and you're skeptical about it. Well, that's normal. He said, I just feel something isn't right. Don't know what it is, but it's not right. Okay, well, you have to trust your intuition. At 1 in the morning, it's 2:30 here, and I'm 50, nifty 50. So, bring it, youngster. When who says count to 10? I don't believe in that counting to 10 stuff. More like 100. Okay. Anyway, well, we are nearing the 3-hour mark, and oh, Nazreen, I'm sorry, I read that. I thought it was Patricia that wrote that.
when he says count to 10, but still after counting he doesn't calm down. Right. That's what I'm saying is it's more like count to 100 for me, or 1,000, or maybe I'm still counting. But nearing the 3-hour mark, do you have any questions, any comments, any personal experiences? This will definitely have to be a 2-part show or topic that we discuss, because there's a lot more information, and like I said, I just wonder what might happen after I stop the podcast tonight, after I go off air tonight, if I'm going to get another thank you for signing up for the very never boring, but anyway, any maybe not personal experiences, but have you ever talked to anyone? Well, have you ever heard of anything like this? Anyone describing any experiences like I've described tonight? I know it boggles the mind, and it should, but anyway, okay, well, if there's no questions or anything, no more comments, I just thank everyone for taking part in the chat. I thank you who joined us, who didn't take part in the chat. Thank you very much for being here listening. And thank you everyone who's listened to the broadcast, to the rebroadcast. And thank you all for listening to my story, to my experiences, and for being patient, and it means a lot to me. It really does, because I mean, let's face it. When people start talking like that, it's like, okay, somebody is somebody's off their meds or whatever. Well, that's no, that's not the case. Well, you're welcome, Nazreen, and thank you. I'm glad you found it interesting. And Patricia, you say don't die. Not going to. Not planning on it. I'm immortal. And so are all of you. The body will die. But you're immortal. Because you're not your body. You're spirit. Remember that. Remember that. Your spirit. You're immortal. You can say that and you're telling the truth. So, anyway, I will actually, if anything happens, if I get another alert or thanking me for subscribing to some something that I didn't subscribe to or something weird like that, I will keep everyone updated. Anyway, love and light to you all. Love you all.
if you need to talk to me, or you need to talk about anything really, you can contact me, thetextuspodcast@gmail.com. You can message me on Messenger, Shane Moore, on Messenger, which you all know that. Anyway, saying good night from Texas, and we will pick up next podcast where we left off tonight. Have a good night, everybody. See you next time.